As the editor cartoon, hate mission funding, I choose Pan-Africanism over, of course, over the court ruling. That is where the president is sitting. If we may look at that particular editor cartoon, interesting so far. And we just want to wrap up on it. We were to hear from Dr. Isaac Kalua before we went to the Francis to just give us a report on what is happening at the latest as far as the blast is concerned. Hope you not lost your track of thoughts. So
no, that's okay. I think at the point that we were is the importance of listening and creating attention to what the president says. And some of the statements, like Prof was saying, is that you will find that we are a country that needs to change in a very big way. Some of the statements that the president is making are just political statements because he's dancing to the tune and the ears of the people that he leads. Can I define the people that Ruto leads?
Please.
Let me define them. They are defined in a study that was done by one of our top universities about 10 years ago, actually. And it still remains the same. 6 out of 10 Kenyans go to work to steal. In other words, they are thieves. It means 5, we are now 5 here. We only need 1 camera, and those are thieves out of 10. No, I'm talking about the study. Okay. I'm talking about the study.
So amongst us there's a thief.
You can't put that because
random
statement. It must only be under random. We are not we are selected.
10 is the denominator.
I'm just giving
that is a very sensitive issue. That way is eliciting a lot of
6 out of 10 Kenyans go to work to steal. An additional 2 would steal if they had an opportunity. So that's the Kenya that President Ruto leads. And when he speaks, we need to be able to start thinking. We are leaders. I believe here we don't have thieves here. And if they are, please let them transform.
No, but even thieves become leaders.
Let me say what
even thieves become leaders.
You know, when you are in an institution of government and you are using your phone, the company phone, to call people that personal are not calls. Related, that's what the study talks about. When you are in government and the government gave you a trip to go to the US to go and work, and you earned some points in the so-called common, what are they called? These points that you get online. The frequent flyer points. And you get yourself an additional ticket after you have earned so many miles. You are a thief. You are stealing what government is, because that's supposed to go to elsewhere. And in other countries like Britain, those points are declared as part of the government because you can use it in enhancing government agenda. That's what we are talking about, and the Kenya that we must be able, and that is what the Green Thinking Action Party is taking, a line that nobody, no political party is taking, and that's why we have no fight with any political parties at the moment, because we are working to transform our own individuals. If you look at the numbers that are joining our institution, it's amazing. No big rallies to join members. They're getting there.
I'll give you an invoice for promoting your party.
You are the one who brought the subject to me. You are the one who brought the subject. I've never talked about it.
You should pay.
But here we are.
It's on a lighter note. But that's what
let me talk about the importance of ensuring that our judiciary is respected. Let's not politicize this. Let us respect these people. Let us have the right process of appointing judges to be in the right place. Let us deal with the judicial reforms that were started way back. You remember what Justice Waki was doing during his time. You remember what the judiciary is working on to transform so that we can have things in the best way possible. Let us enforce. Let us make sure that we change this country. We cannot change it over time. And we cannot assume that people are not working for good. Justice Koome, Mother Koome will always do what is good for this country. She is responsible even as a mother, and she must be able to do what is good. The same thing with the president. The same thing with the parliament. We must just remove those things that keep taking us in the 6 out of 10 and an additional 2 that would steal if we have. No wonder we have lost it to the point that we now are position 126, I was saying earlier, most corrupt countries in the world. We are part of that out of 180. Can you imagine how terrible we are getting as a nation? As we try to do all these other things, we must get back to the basics. What is it that we are doing wrong? It was amazing to see church leaders meeting with Bishop Ogine to say we are going to fight this thing together. I would want to see it in the churches so that you are interrogating where money is coming from. You are speaking in a honorable way to people that are mentioned to be corrupt in one way or another. It is everybody's responsibility. And I pray that we do not deal superficially with things. Let's get to the grassroots and make sure that everybody, the fire like we are having, it's an indication of poverty, it's an indication of stolen money for the public by other people, it's a gas cylinder that is there. Why are we not talking about this? How do we transport even gas to the people? Because it can be distributed communally to people. Indeed. So these things, let us approach it with the fear of God, knowing that it is us at a time like this who are supposed to change our institution, our society, and the country at large.
Right, and you raise a very good point, because when it comes to that particular survey, that we are a thieving nation, so to speak, this is what we had this week, that public officers have looted how many? 605 million shillings in corrupt deals. And this is what the Public Service Commission reports actually revealed. The Public Service Commission, in the latest disclosure on the status of compliance of government entities with the values and principles of Constitution, says a further 222.7 million shillings had been stolen, but was recovered.
Sorry to return.
But so we're heading towards almost
just 1 minute.
I have a concerns
just
can
1 minute.
I hear from
1 minute.
Honorable?
Just 1 minute.
After you. Okay.
Yes, yeah. You know, that figure that has been given by public service, it's like 1/100th of what, because they have dealt with what is tangible, money in the bank. If you look at the time that public servants have stolen from the government, hanging the court and living out of work, to go and deal with other things, using public vehicles to go to places that they are not supposed to be, using the resources of the government, that is only one of
a drop in the ocean.
Yes.
You've been there.
Well, I was not.
How much do you have?
Do you mean he has been thieving?
You've been there? No, he's been public service.
He's been the public service, not there.
Yes. No, I think, Dibal, there's something that might be lost in the details that we are now generating about the thieving nation. Something that I don't want us to lose is what Dr. Martin Olo said at the beginning, that destruction or an assault on institutions is something that Kenyans should not accept. And therefore, whether it is Justice Kome or any other individual, my worry is that we are increasing the space of destruction of institutions so that we have no respect for any institution, whether it's judiciary, legislature, or the presidency, or the executive for that particular matter. So that, to me, is very important. And we're supposed to safeguard. It's the same very Kenyans that are supposed to safeguard the destruction of institutions. And therefore, we cannot give an excuse that because 1, 2, 3 is happening elsewhere, we should allow bad manners to pervade this particular atmosphere. What we need to guard against is we need to go according to the regulations, to the laws, and to institutions that we have, so that we do not lose what we need to have. Now, going back to what Dr. Green is saying, yes, we are a thieving nation, but being a thieving nation does not mean that we cannot stop stealing. How can we stop stealing? What those who deal with organizational behavior tell us, the leadership at the top can have the greatest impact if they show that they are not stealing. And therefore, if we do not know that anything is happening at the top, all that will percolate down to the ordinary citizen. General Murtala Mohammed, when he took over Nigeria, within 24 hours, everybody was in the office by 7 o'clock. That is because they knew he's no nonsense man. The moment you realize that people are stealing in government, it means that character has been accepted from the top and everybody is trying to help himself on whatever is happening. Most of the recruitments that you hear today, whether it is the police, whether it's the military, whether it is Teacher Service Commission, whether it is a position advertised in this gazette or any other place, people have to part with money even to qualify to be shortlisted. What are we saying? Is that you are entering an institution by bribing your way. And therefore, when you get into that institution, you must return the money that you took to get the job, and you must also continue so that you can sustain yourself on the job. NHIF, they are saying they're interviewing all the officers, they are applying again to be interviewed. What are you saying? You are putting somebody on double jeopardy. I was interviewed to get the job at NHIF. Now you are transiting NHIF to another organization. And in all manner of laws, any institution that is taking over from the other institution must carry assets and liabilities from the previous organization so that we do not lose the history of that institution. Because the people that you are saying to reapply may not have been involved in corruption. NHIF, for example, the person who had been sacked by the previous regime was brought back by this regime and is the one now who is going to preside over the issue of institutional change. Are we changing the institution? The answer is no. So let's not have very nice semantics or some good words that yes, we are doing this because of 1, 2, 3. We are simply a thieving nation, and a thieving nation needs serious surgery. And surgery, as the man of from Emmanuel said the other day, we must decapitate not the lizard, the rat, instead of breaking the tail. Yeah.
All right. It's you. It's your turn. Yeah.
Actually, it's me. Having heard what my good learned friend, Dr. Lo said, and also learning to Dr. Kalua, I think that I have a feeling you are trying to suggest that the president is pragmatist, and also you are trying to be pragmatists. And I've always been very scared about pragmatists because they sometimes become fatalistic by believing this is our fate. We can't do something about it. In the history of this world, no one who is very pragmatist has ever changed anything. Because you seem to see things that they should work this way. In social sciences, there are two ways to look at things. There's a negative view and the positive view. A negative view means that corruption is bad, should be gotten rid of. Positive view means that the corruption serves a function, it makes things get done, so it should stay. So if you look at the ecosystem and say, William Ruto has observed all these guys and becoming very pragmatic by saying that this is Kenyans I'm leading, who is a thieving nation, therefore there's nothing you can do. Let me join them, still with them, and then who will gain? So according to me, I think that should be something that is dangerous because I urge Kenyans, we should never stop pursuing ideals. Even I'm a Catholic, and we are being told that be holy like your Father in heaven. At the end of the day, when I sit down to do my examining of conscience, I am rarely holy. But doesn't mean I don't wake up tomorrow, try to be holy. We believe that God is the only way He will be able to transform us. And I also believe, like you said, one day someone will come and perform that surgery. And it actually will happen. And looking at the thieving nation, like you said, I call these things, for example, what has happened for example, in Mbakasi could be what I call wisdom of fools. Because somebody who was supposed to inspect the site must have given money to give inspection report to pass, continue, yet there was something wrong. But let me tell you what, in one or the other it will hurt you. You may discover that if fire wakes up and burns those people, you might find either your cousin or your brother, or let's say your niece or nephew is burnt. Then when you're having that money in your pocket, What do? You'll come to treat your uncle. Sometimes you lose a friend, you lose a brother. I can tell you there's no way fire can burn many people in Embakasi and you are unaffected. You'll be affected somehow. So wisdom of fools means that by the time you're picking the corruption money, you look you're wise, but actually you're not wise. Because affect. I remember there's a case I wrote in Strathmore about Embu, where a water engineer was bribed to be given a water treatment solution which was not appropriate, but was bribed so that he can approve it. His nephew died of water poisoning, and he was attending the funeral. So there's a lot of wisdom of fools in Kenya. Even corruption is a wisdom of fools. Because if I'm stealing because people are stealing, then there will never be salvation. So long as the government jobs in Kenya becomes attractive for the wrong reasons, because I talk to them and say, no, it's not well paying, but you see, they can do other things. For example, those things I talk about, that you can always take your time from the employer and do whatever you like.
You have so much time when in government.
When Titus Nakuni,
you can pursue.
When Titus Nakuni came to turn around
your degrees.
I was an MBA student, and we sat with him when they talked about turnaround, and the discussion came by saying, how many planes do KQ have in proportion to how many cars? We found that KQ had very many cars that are picking people, taking them to salon, picking relatives, more than planes. So are you an airline or you are doing road transport? This was the very question in strategy. So if you have more vehicles than aircraft, then you must be in transport, road transport business, not aviation. And I think this is the same question we need to ask ourselves here. How much time that is? Does it mean there's nothing being done, yet we're having high payroll? If they have a lot of time, do we need these people here? If the payroll is very heavy,
thank you.
Why must you do that? Then just to end my discussion is this. The problem we are seeing across the board that you can ask here is lack of vision. There's poverty of vision here. In fact, what is frustrating all these arms of government, especially the president, is lack of vision, because he finds himself leading Kenya. Leadership means you have to follow. You be followed. When a leader, you look back and look, 53 million people are following him. Then he doesn't know where he's taking them. Then he gets angry with them. And I think that lack of vision, you can see, is creating a lot of challenge. And if we sort out that vision issue, you'll find that now everyone get aligned. We cannot align to something not there. It tells us submit. Submission means you must have a mission that we submit to.
Thank you. Let's say from Martin.
I want to look you directly in the face and tell you there's a difference between idealism and reality. We are dealing with reality, and it's not about pragmatism. It's about the advice that Machiavelli provided to leaders in The Prince. So when you look at the leadership of this country, it is like us. Our leader is one of our own, and indeed it is. Any leader who asks you to queue to take a bribe from him in order for you to vote him is like you. He knows you love money, and he gives you money so that he can achieve what he loves, which is power, which also must come with money. He's using money to acquire power, and he'll use power to continue acquiring more money. So when I tell you that Kenyans are having one of their own in the State House, I mean the majority. So. I mean the majority
Kenyans
of
don't
Kenyans.
Identify with him.
I mean the majority of Kenyans. So that you cannot say that what we are experiencing as a people is different from what we would want. So I am okay with the idea, but one of the things we want to prepare you for is that understand Kenya from where we are. So that when we are dealing with corruption, today, as we speak here, we are told there are about 688 workers in the treasury that cannot be accounted for.
Even State House, there's guest.
So basically what I'm saying is that we do have a common denominator, and this common denominator seems to suggest that wastage, pilferage, corruption, thieving are okay. Now, if they are okay, then they are determining how then we are structuring our institutions. So that this disruption that you are seeing, this deceit that you are seeing, these untruths that you are seeing seem to be having a pattern. So first understand what we're dealing with. Then let's construct. So what we are preparing ourselves to do is, do not think that we are sitting here thinking that we are coming from nowhere. So when you have issues of pragmatism, it's simply asking you, look at your reality. Because you can only construct your future from your reality, from your present.
That one I agree.
Thank you, thank you. All right. So
objective reality is the beginning of in transformation, but if there's no vision, you can't tackle this matter, my brother. And I can tell you also that I don't think, if it's correct to say that all of us look like William Ruto. We are so different, and I don't think Kenyans resonate with him. If you tell us,
I didn't hear that name being mentioned.
If you say the president is the representative, that we look like him.
Kenyan.
No, he's a Kenyan,
and
but we don't think we have
the first.
All right. Okay.
If you are told Professor Kibwana is here, downstairs, and another flamboyant guy, you realize that people will be peeping through the window to see the guy, the flamboyant guy, whose money he has gotten, he has gotten through mischievous ways. Not Professor Kibwana, somebody that we associate with integrity. So Kenyans, the way Dr. Martin Olo is saying, really seem to like things that don't have any value as long as they can partake in the lagis. As long as you vote for somebody because he's given you money, you're already saying, look for more money, give me in the next election for you to win the next election.
But don't also say Kenyans. I just want to say just like
No. So we don't belabor the point. I think you really point.
We are talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got it.
3 million Kenyans.
I would be amazed if we don't really mention what I also saw this week that was a bit disturbing. If my director may just pick up this particular headline and mention the Triton. How could we as a country be looking for a man for over maybe 2 decades? And then he comes and is charged on a 1 million shilling, is freed on a 1 million shilling cash bail. He's a fugitive. You've been spending time looking for this man. And since 2008, I fail to understand.
The chicken have come back to roost. He has joined his colleagues in Kenya. Where's the chicken feed case? Those guys who are incarcerated, chicken gate. Chicken gate, yeah. The guys in London, they were taken to jail, they have served their jail term, they have come out. But in Kenya, nobody was taken to jail. So this is just trying to amplify our position, that Kenyans seem to love thieves. And please, if you don't have money, don't run in the next election.
Please.
Yeah.
And we are telling those who are ambitious,
yeah,
this country, elections are won because of money and not necessarily money that has been gotten in the right way.
Yeah.
So when let me ask you, you are a professor. The moment we start seeing you flashing with cars and V8s, and you all of a sudden are awash with money, if we go back to find out your sources of money, we are not likely to see that. If you look at any of those guys in political office today and ask, so how much money did you spend and what is the source of your money? Who among us, and you are a professor of economics, can actually go to their bank, take a loan of 30 million and go and spend it giving people? So if you're going to do that, what is your intention?
On recouping that particular money.
Yes.
I don't intend to see that as the menu, but just to give the anecdote I wanted to give, there's a Nigerian who gave birth to 3 sons. One of them became a professor, one of them became a pastor, and one of them did this wash thing and became a politician. So one day he was asked, who are you? Whom do you think introduced himself as being the father of? Did he say, I'm the father of the professor, because the professor is not known anyway?
Yeah.
Did he say he's the father of a pastor? He said he's the father of the wash. Yeah. So it's not just Kenya. I want to say this is not just about Kenya.
No, as we're talking about Kenya, we don't want to talk about any other country.
But let's not lose the issue, right? Still on this. Yeah. How do you weigh in on it? Because I think this, for me...
well, on a serious note, it's unfortunate. It is really something that we should actually feel ashamed as a country. But why we are saying the chicken gate issue just went in the same way.
The Anglo leasing
went the same way.
There is no credible evidence after all these years.
The Golden Bank the same way, and some of the people who partook in some of those issues are the people who are calling the tunes in town. You see, when you talk of cartels, And even when you talk of state capture, when you chase the cartels from the other regime, as you get in, you are getting in with your own cartels. Now, the people who had problems with KRA and their cases almost to the tune of 17 billion are now in charge of KRA.
You see, the answer to Dibal's question is inside the question. This is a man we have been looking for 16 years. He's extradited from the UK quietly. He arrives in Kenya quietly. He appears in court quietly. Not even the media was able to cover him. He's given cash bail. He leaves quietly. We only get to know after. That is how important that silence is.
So
we don't even have
you can try to put this matter with Felician Kabuga. We've been looking for him for all this time. He comes to the country quietly. He goes to the courts quietly. He's given a cash bail quietly.
But you see...
Let's hear from Dr. Green.
The answer to your question lies in the award that we lost. There was a global award of countries that intend to transform their economies, their leadership, and empower their people by keeping away the biggest enemy, corruption. The award was there. 180 countries were centered in because there is another lot of countries that is already out of that. The perception index of all this. We lost the award very badly. Position 126 that we have never been before. What does that tell us? We are running in the wrong direction. We are doing things in the wrong way. We are messing up the future of our children. The more things change, the more they remain the same. What a big responsibility that we should have as leaders in church, as leaders in temples, as leaders in mosques, and various people, as family leaders. What an opportunity we have to start going for that award for the good of our country. Our courts, we are accusing our courts, and I'm not talking just about President Ruto's statements. I'm talking about us as Kenyans. Abusing means even assuming that things can be done in the wrong way and you can pay your way out. That's an abuse. How are we going to change the society if the perception of doing things is wrong? That anything that you are thinking about, including potholes, that people who are in leadership can see them, they are hitting the potholes on a daily basis as they go home, and they can't do anything about it. That the valuation of how we do things, that we are killing our own people, that institutions are not working, as earlier stated. We need to refocus as a nation. Leadership is defined by what we get as a result, not just by imagining or by pushing people to go in one direction. Yes, you may achieve going in one direction, but is it the right direction? And that is where I am talking about, and I'll keep talking about personalizing how we approach leadership and what we do in our own space. That is what is going to change our country. This is just the situation of the deportation and Kabuga and all these other issues is just nothing. The more issues are with the pain that Kenyans are waking up with every morning. Buying water at 70 shillings, 100 shillings, staying without water. There are people who don't have a big percentage, and I like what Tharaka-Nithi is now doing to make sure that they have better water and they're having more people to distribute. Those are the efforts that we need to be making as a nation so that our country can go forth. Minus this, we are wasting time, we are cheating each other, we are lying to each other, we are pretentious a nation. We need to be able to repent and do what is good for common good and for God's glory.
Right. Well spoken there. I just want us to, because I can see the time is not really on our side. Regarding... Sorry?
I'm not commenting on that.
No.
You've commented already.
No.
What have you been
Not
doing?
at all.
Just relax. Tell him to relax.
I have something very serious about that.
No, tell him he'll have a closing.
According to me, what is happening, Debal, is that when we see people who are fugitives, people who have done wrong things returning to a country, it shows that the country is welcoming such kind of people. And remember some of these guys, like Dea said, I cannot come to Kenya, I cannot deport to Kenya because they're going to kill me, and he was not deported. It means that some of these guys have power, even from UK, to be deported or not. No, I'm saying he was not deported. He was not actually tried in Kenya. He said he will not get justice from here. So what I'm trying to say here, I would wish one day when heroes, people who have been fighting for good governance and the rest, return home and said it is safe enough to come home, or even if they get deported. But you see those kind of thugs coming into the country, and also I don't know where the media was, who contacts people so that they can give quiet or not, were not contacted. As far as I'm concerned, it's been revealed, it's in public open, that there's a criminal enterprise within the government.
Right.
And are they coming again to do another Triton 2? Because that should be a concern, because the number of cartels, the number of powerful forces working within the government who are doing criminal enterprises on behalf of the very powerful person in this land, I think those are the things we need to be concerned about, because...
Thank you.
If he's coming, who is hosting him? Who is his host? Who has aided all that to happen? I think the one who received intelligence in this country is the president. He knew even when he was about to return, and he's aware of what he's here to do. If they don't want Miguna was stopped from coming. They even came with reasons for not letting him come here. Why is this guy easier? I believe this is it's a state project now, if you call it, and I hope that the president realizes that this is not something that Kenyans will take without explanation, and I believe that this condoning of this mannerism of making people who are not welcome elsewhere be accepted here kills even the Kenyan reputation. Those are the reasons why people find that the country's image is damaged by that. I'm sure that headline is not a headline that you want to have when you're head of state, Dr. Kalua.
All right, let's wind up.
I suggest that the statement that, and I agree partly on some of the statements. The only thing is that maybe calling them thugs when there is law and order, and whatever route they have gotten to that position might put this position and the ball in a wrong way, or even no, you use the word thugs, that kind of a thug, calling it also a state project. I think it can be right. It can be
so it's certainly not
okay. We can see your time is it's not really on our side. We're done as far as we are supposed to be here, but as we're winding up, I want my director to just pick up this particular editorial cartoon on the road toll, because I can see Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen also has written an opinion there regarding the road tolling, and he says, this is it, why dwelling and tolling more roads will offer great benefits. Now, new tolling schemes will consider affordability, equity, and the potential on different segments of society. This has sparked a lot of debate. Even as we're winding up, maybe you can just give your closing remarks touching on it as well.
There is an almost understanding or some assumption from the government of Kenya that if you are successful in Kenya, you should be penalized, you should be taxed, you should be oppressed. So everything that these people are thinking about, whether it's in the cabinet sector, in transport, in lands, in interior, is about how to impose more and more taxes. And that should not be the reason why governments exist. There should be a correlation between taxes and services. They should be saying that the way we have done PPP and the way we are recovering money from that, we need more PPPs across so that we can have roads, and then the roads can pay for themselves. If that's the way, that's okay. Right. But not so that we have more money into this government kitty that appears to be bottomless. So basically, It is not a crime. And
Right.
I want to say that. It's not a crime for us to be in Kenya, and therefore this government shouldn't be punishing us more and more.
By the way, are you the one who's being actually pinched there on the roller? As I can see there, shutting out. It is Martin.
I'm suffocated.
He's the one who's feeling the pinch there.
And I'm being supfocated. And I can't tell Mokomen, my friend.
You can't breathe.
You can't do this. To
You
me.
can't breathe.
I can hardly breathe in this country. I need to breathe.
Kipruto, let's hear. You can't breathe.
Well, I should, but I can't. The challenge, Dibal, remember there used to be some toll stations.
Indeed.
One between Nakuru and Eldoret and many other places, even near Athi River. And those toll stations were removed and it was put in the fuel levy.
Yeah.
Then there used to be road license that we used to pay every year. And it was removed and it was also put in the fuel. Today we are experiencing about 62% of the fuel cost goes towards taxes and other levies. Therefore, bringing these issues without commensurate removal from the fuel is punishing Kenyans for no reason. Let us just go one way. If we've decided to consolidate, we are just increasing toll stations for people to steal more. It is better when it is in fuel because the government will be able to collect that revenue. But the moment you create another toll station in Athi River, another one in Ngong, and so many other places, you are just increasing the number of thieves in the country.
Double taxation.
Triple.
All right. Triple taxation. Right. Your closing remarks.
The
Daktari.
road to our future is brilliant. This week, my niece, 9 years of age, became president of her school. And the elections were
Free and fair.
Free and
And
fair.
verifiable.
And guided by the IEBC. Can you imagine IEBC?
But IEBC is not in existence.
There are no commissioners.
Well, they were there, commissioners, they were officials in that place.
This version of IEBC needs to be examined.
I really, you're making me to think about having this as my article for the weekend. The road to our future is bright. Even as we seem
like
so,
your optimism. I like
we
his optimism.
must, and it's followed with action and inspiring people to do the right thing at the right time. What our leaders are doing is imagining to do the good things. They only need to get people participation. The public participation in some of these things is very important because the intentions are very good, clearly. But are we moving with the people? Do the people know the why of things? And are we headed in a way that is going to help our nation?
Thank you.
Once we do that, I believe our future, just like President Adora Kioli, who has become president at class 5, and it's supposed to be upper school, out of what she believes is in that school. It's called Briar Rose School.
Briar Rose,
and therefore, it's a great thing, the future. I think it is us who are not so focused on getting things done. Don't worry about the story of Adora.
We didn't talk about the IBC.
I have a lot of
Thank you.
intention to do what is good. So let's focus on what is good.
Fantastic.
Let's not just imagine that the minister means bad. We just need to do the right things.
It's good to know that
Using the
IBC
right
is still at work
direction
because
in
they're
the
short-handed
best
right now. So it's good they carried out the elections. Even if it's good. Okay.
Mine is just because, you see, when it says benefits, how do you measure benefits? I've done a lot of work for the road companies, but they measure benefits with the capacity and efficiency. Because, for example, if you're moving between here and Naivasha, how long should you take distance to travel? How is that going to improve in terms of the person using the road? But I agree with the senior here, the issue of duplication is too much because that's like raising levy. I believe that, as you said, the future is bright. The only thing is that there are some things we have to deal with before we see it because it's very clouded. And nevertheless, we should not give hope because I can believe that God is one way, like you say, leaders are given. In spite of that, God has been giving us not the most desirable ones. One day, God will give us a better leader outside all the pragmatism and all the cynicism that you might have. I believe that idealism can never be subordinated.
All right. Thank you. I think it's a good place to wind up. Thank you, guys. All right. I really want to appreciate your sentiment this morning. Of course, being with us from 6 o'clock, just following up what is happening in Embakasi as well. I want to thank you for that immersive discussion that we've had on a raft of issues that has been, of course, doing the rounds in media this week, just looking at some of the headlines. And just to prime you before we wind up, that Kenya Red Cross and also the National Police Service and the Nairobi County Fire Brigade and the E-Plus ambulances Kenya are still hard at work trying to make sure that they're rescuing some of the victims that have been adversely affected by the fire that broke out early this morning in Embakasi, where so far we've lost 2 lives. Our reporters are on the ground to make sure that you keep yourself apprised on this issue and what are some of the safety measures also will be carried forward and some of the silent learning points that we are picking from this as well. This was an explosion, a gas refilling company that is an industrial area here in Embakasi, I should say, that actually made this particular uneventuality happen. And so far, our reporters still are on the ground in Mama Lucy and also Kenyatta National Hospital and Komarok Medical Facility. Thank you for your valued company. Keep it here on KTN News, where we keep you apprised and you get the whole story. The News Diary is up next.